Hey folks, Mike Dawkins from Worldcast Anglers here with your Jackson Hole fly fishing forecast for the weekend of the 5th and 6th of July. A happy 4th of July holiday weekend to everyone out there. I hope you get to spend it out on the water, fishing with family and friends, or just getting together with those that you like to spend time with and enjoying an extra day off in the week. In my humble opinion, it's my most favorite holiday in the 12-month calendar of the year. So I hope everybody embraces it and has a lot of fun and it is safe if you're out on the water this weekend. The 4th of July historically is sort of that unofficial official kickoff to the summer fly fishing season in the greater Jackson Hole area. I know it hasn't felt that way in the past 2.5 weeks with all of the warm temperatures and hot temperatures that we've been having. Lots of sunshine. Things are already a little bit dry, but here we are. The 4th of July, no looking back. It's wet wading season, dry dropper season, dry fly fishing season. Leave the waders at home, take the rain jacket in case you get some afternoon thunderstorms like you have behind me, and get after it, have fun, and spend some time on the water. The big news coming into the 4th of July weekend is we'll be closing tomorrow, the 4th of July at 5 p.m. So our summer staff and everybody can go out and enjoy some of that time, maybe on the water or cookouts or live music with their friends and families. So our Fly Shop happy hour on the 4th of July is from noon until 5 p.m. since we're closing at 5. That is half off all trout flies, including streamers, dries, nymphs, and foam. Dollar tall boys for those 21 and up, and our sale rec is 60% off from noon until 5 on the 4th of July. If you're looking at the weather going into this weekend, the 4th of July and the 5th of July, we're going to have a little bit of overcast, which is glorious, and it's those types of conditions that we love to see in the middle of the summer season that make the dry fly fishing really good. So if you can get after it in those times when we're having that overcast, cloudiness, go for it. And I think you will be pleasantly surprised. Sunday, it looks like things are going to warm back up. We've got Saturday at 74 and 46, Sunday at 80 and 49, maybe a slight chance of some rain and some precipitation on the 4th and the 5th. But looking into our 10-day, it's going to get hot and it's going to get dry. I even saw some 90s or mid 90s down there on the lower South Fork of the Snake. That's a good reminder. Get those trout thermometers out. Get ready to start looking at your conditions when you're on the water and monitoring those conditions of those that are favorable and not ultra stressful to our trout friends. Jackson Lake right now is 99% of capacity. Palisades Reservoir is 89% of capacity, and everything in the Snake River drainage and basin is dropping as irrigators and consumptive water users start back up on their irrigation and consumptive water use for agricultural purposes sort of throughout the entire river system. The South Fork of the Snake, we've got 12,900 CFS coming out of Palisades Dam, 12,400 CFS there on the lower river. Top to bottom, the South Fork is fishing incredibly well right now. We've got salmon flies coming up through section 3, section 2, and probably up to the upper here in the next couple days, if not there today. We've got awesome drake hatches there in the canyon. We've got PMDs. We've got yellow sallies. We've got caddis in the mornings and the evenings. It's all happening. It's all good. Get out on the water, throw your flies in the water. The fishing has just been really awesome this past week, and we forecast that to continue to stay that way here into the next couple weeks in that official start of summer. But South Fork, top to bottom, it's a place to be right now. The Snake in Jackson, 1,980 CFS coming out of Jackson Lake Dam, 5,750 CFS on the lower river around Alpine before the Salt and the Grays. Very similarly, the Snake is ticking on all cylinders and fishing really well. Golden Stones, PMDs, drakes, caddis, yellow sallies. We're seeing sort of a bug bonanza over there. Dry dropper rigs have been fishing really well. Small dry fly fishing is coming on with some consistency, and the big foam fishing are definitely catching them there on those chubby Chernobyls, water walkers, Chernobyl bugs, any of those classic snake cutthroat fashions, especially those starting out with the white wing, like a chubby Chernobyl or something along those lines has been really productive. You pair that with a Duracell, a bullet quill, a Spanish bullet, any of those sort of jig style droppers, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised on how fun the Snake is fishing. The Snake is different than the South Fork where it is, you know, the water coming out of Jackson Lake Dam isn't as deep. So we can start in some of these days looking into next week. As I was saying earlier, carry your thermometer, check things out, concentrate on those morning time periods when water temperatures are the coolest. But we'll have more reports for that in our fishing reports online, as well as our fly fishing forecast next week. The Teton here in Teton Valley, 553 CFS, 956 CFS on the lower river. We've got PMDs, we've got Drakes, and we've got Caddis and Yellow Sallies up here in the valley that are creating some really good and really fun dry fly fishing opportunities. We're even seeing some golden stones in the lower portion of the valley stretch. You know, the water walkers, G's Superfly, a couple golden patterns like that, probably in an 8 or a 10, can be really productive this time of year on some of that water, say from, you know, pack saddle down, or even, you know, right there outside of Bates downstream can be really fun and productive. The lower river has been fishing really well with leftover stoneflies, leftover drakes, PMDs, and a lot of yellow sallies and caddis as well. Dry dropper fishing and foam fishing has been pretty darn solid down there too. Get on that early, because those days in the 90s and those mid 90s, you know, give me a little uncertainty on how the longevity of that fishing is going to continue through, you know, sort of that day to day, you know, fishing schedule. It may transition into an early morning thing as we come into some of those hot days next week. The Henry's Fork, we've got 1,520 CFS up there in the Box Canyon, 2,120 CFS on the lower river. As I was saying earlier, after a great spring and early summer, we saw some really good dry fly fishing there on the lower Henry's Fork. That has definitely tapered off with the warmer and drier conditions that we've been having. That's not to say there's not any fishing to be had down there, but if it was me, I would concentrate with maybe some leftover flavs, some PMDs, and some caddis, and I'd be on a dawn patrol mission there, you know, in that early morning period until about lunchtime. You know, flavs, leftover drakes, golden stones, PMDs, maybe, you know, some leftover betas if it cools off. You know, I'd have all of that kind of stuff in my fly box if I was heading to the ranch with some long leaders and light tippets. And then dry dropper fishing up there in the Box Canyon, as well as that Osborne, Riverside, Hatchery Ford area has stayed really consistent with flows, you know, around 1,500 CFS. I'd be a great place to check out if you're looking to do something different than fishing the South Fork or the Snake, or maybe you haven't gone up there because you've been fishing Ora or Chester and you want to check something out. I would definitely look at some of those areas that have a little bit more gradient, some higher, you know, turbid, oxygenated water, and I think you'd be pleasantly surprised in some of that midsummer Henry's Fork fishing. The green and the salt are both online and fishing well, but dropping pretty darn fast. I would, if you're looking to get on those, I would look here in the next 7 to 10 days to finish those things out before it gets really hot and really low. And then we've had some great wade fishing opportunities open up with South Fork of the Snake tributaries, as well as Teton River tributaries that opened on June 1st. You know, a lot of those are going to be fishing well this first week or so when they open. And, you know, dry droppers, attractors, as I was saying, those chubby Chernobyls, stimulators, big parachute Adams, even paired with a dropper, can be really fun and really different to mix it up. Your fly fishing opportunities going into this 4th of July weekend, where, you know what, it's going to be busy out there. There's going to be a lot of people on the water. Everybody's entitled to being out there on the water and having fun. So if that is something that, you know, it bothers you, or you want to do something different, go check out a wade trip or a small tributary, or, you know, pack a backpack and head into a high alpine lake or something like that and mix it up and go see something different. So once again, we're closing on the 4th of July at 5 p.m. and our Fly Shop happy hour on the 4th of July is from noon until 5 p.m. That's half off all of our trout bugs, dollar tall boys, and our sale rack is 60% off during that time. That's all I've got. You've got some pretty good, darn good fishing opportunities heading your way into this holiday weekend. As I said, I hope everybody enjoys the holiday weekend and the 4th of July, our nation's independence. However you do it, be safe out there, be kind, and be friendly to all of your fishing friends and river neighbors. Have a great time, and we'll see you here next week.